Adelaide Million.
Down to the 200-metre mark now. Amuse Me reached the lead from Burgundy Bouquet, but Canonizer's got them. Canonizer's fired away in the last 100, and it's Canonizer's going on to win this Son of Don't Say Halo. He takes out the second running of the Adelaide Million and defeats the stablemate Stylish Regent in second placing. Third was another Don't Say Halo, I think. It's got third Angel.
And it was Canonizer at 11-4 and favourite taking it out over the stablemate Stylish Regent with Angel's Wings in third place.
Now in third placing Shadows of Love, and then Tosaldi. Shavano misses, getting tired. Mannerism might have her. Mannerism raced up to Shavano, missed. The crowd are going berserk. Mannerism's got her. Mannerism sweeps to the lead, and she just hasn't quite run the trip. Shavano miss. Mannerism a length and a quarter. Shavano miss. Third's tight. Give it to Tosaldi just in front of Angel Baby.
Well, Lee Friedman superimposed may have missed a place at Sandown, but Mannerism providing more than ample compensation, winning the Oaks over Shavano Miss and Angel Baby. And Sue, that wraps it up in sport today.
Greg, thank you. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Now to the weather. Around Victoria.
Yes, lots to look forward to. Plenty of big money coming up at Port Douglas this afternoon, but there was a lot of money up for grabs right around Australia in racing yesterday. Keith Hillier has joined us as always, and Keith, it's one of the great days, isn't it? Because not only Melbourne was excellent, we had the big meetings in Adelaide and also Sydney.
Yes, in three states, Bruce. At Sandown, the CF4 Stakes, I think had the best field ever at the track. A field of 11, 10 had won in Group 1 class, and collectively they'd won more than 14 million, so you can't do much better than that.
No, you just made the point off air that it was like the Cox Plate. I guess the only horse you could add is Better Loosen Up, and that's as good a field as you could get in Australasia.
We'll see him next Saturday.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. He's going to be hard to beat, isn't he? Because
yeah.
He trialled with Planet Ruler in Adelaide last week and shaded him, and we saw what Planet Ruler did yesterday, so he's going to be mighty hard to beat in the Blamey Stakes.
Yes, and the results mostly went as expected yesterday in all states, didn't they? With Me was very impressive in winning in Adelaide, and David Hayes at Quinella in the $1 million race.
Yes, he's having a terrific run. I guess they went according to plan, unless you backed Razor Rhythm at the 3s on in Melbourne or Dr Grace at the 11-2 on in Sydney.
Oh, yes, well, I don't think any of our viewers would have done that. They would be past viewers if they did, Bruce, wouldn't they?
You wouldn't be around this one, you'd be feeling very ill.
Absolutely.
Well, Keith, let's go to the Ore Stakes. As you mentioned, it was probably the best field ever assembled at Sandown. A magnificent line-up, and it had all the stars of Australian racing except for Better Loosen Up.
Though Rogue was going for an unprecedented fourth consecutive victory in the race, he was the sentimental favourite, but in the cold-hearted environment of the betting ring, the Vaux was at 10-1. Superimposed was the 2-1 favourite. Two Caulfield Cup winners were returning to the track, Cole Diesel and Siddiston. Melbourne Cup runner-up the Phantom was back from New Zealand, and another resuming was Planet Ruler, the Flemington record holder for the straight six. Though Rogue made the pace, it was fast, it set a perfect stage for a contest, fitting such a star-studded lineup.
Still Though Rogue, 3 lengths ahead of Ark Regal, they're about to straighten up. A length and a half then to Beau George and Cole Diesel. At the head of the others then came Mr Till, followed by Siddiston. Superimposes a long way back. 300 metres left to go. Though Rogue about to be tackled by Ark Regal, who's running a big race. And they're nicely clear of Mr Till, and down the outside is Planet Ruler from a long way back. Ark Regal has taken the lead with about 150 metres left to go from Though Rogue, who's battling on. Planet Ruler flying down the outside. Ark Regal being tackled by Planet Ruler. Planet Ruler level. Planet Ruler takes the lead. Planet Ruler. Planet Ruler's got up to beat Ark Regal in a photo for third between Though Rogue.
Planet Ruler just got there, and suddenly the autumn has all sorts of riches to offer this 6-year-old.
Now his next target will be the Newmarket.
Yes.
And then we'll take him to Sydney.
For what race in Sydney?
For the big race. What's the name of it?
The Doncaster Handicap,
Doncaster,
right?
Yes.
OK, well, that's something to puff on your cigar about, isn't it? You got a puff there,
Of
Louis?
course, of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Keith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keith, you obviously know one another very well.
Yes, I know Louis Flayfell very well. He's a lovely guy. He loves racing and he loves a bet, and he especially loves it when the bets land, like I did yesterday, 5-1 to 4-1 Planet Ruler. He's a very good horse, Bruce. That was his first win at weight for age. But he has won the past 2 Gadsden Stakes in the spring, and he went closer than any other horse to Ori Star's record, pace set a record down there.
Do you give him a chance in the Newmarket if he runs it?
Oh, sure, yeah, because he's. I think the Newmarket needs virtually a miler or a 1,600-metre horse, and he will get home so hard. He'll have a big weight, mind you, but he's got such a powerful finish that he'd have to be one of the top prospects.
He's really exciting, isn't he, the way he can flash home. Another horse that got back to his best yesterday was Canny Lad. Let's have a look at him in the Tattersall Stakes.
Round the home turn, Vane Rancher tackled by Ricaria. Meg's Ego was joining in down the outside, and they were followed next then by Noble Chevelle. At the head of the others then Kenny Ladd, who's starting to wind up and finishing on strongly, the favourite now as they come to the 250. Here's Kenny Ladd on the outside, joining Ricaria over on the inside. Vane Rancher battling on well. Kenny Ladd on the outside goes up to tackle Vane Rancher. Kenny Ladd has taken the lead with 100 to go and has drawn clear. It's too good. And the champion Colt races home Kenny Ladd to a big win. Kenny Ladd is first, second Vane Rancher, or on the outside Meg's Ego, and a photo for the minor placings right on the...
I was really pleased he won for a couple of reasons. One, he's a good horse and you like to see them come back, but Rick Lacey's been under tremendous pressure. With his financial problems have been well documented, and I hope this horse can alleviate some of those problems for him.
Yeah, so do I, Bruce. That, incidentally, was the biggest winning margin of Kenny Ladd's career. Normally he's won by... even in photo finishes.
He's a bit of a better loosen up.
Yes. Now, Rick Lacey has yet to decide whether to back him up again next Saturday in the Australian Guineas or wait for the Futurity Stakes. I think he'd nearly win either race the way he won so authoritatively yesterday.
Who's going to ride him? Is it going to be Jim Cassidy, who's had 2 rides on him for 2 wins, or Shane Dye, who yesterday decided to stay in Sydney for Dr. Grace and not come down and ride him?
Yes, wrong decision, wasn't it?
Who rides him, do you think, Cassidy?
Jim Cassidy will ride him in Melbourne, and if he goes to Sydney, Shane Dye will ride him.
OK, so thanks for that bit of news. Another 3-year-old doing very well is from Western Australia. His name is Storaya. He won the open sprint yesterday.
Now towards the 250-metre mark, it's off balance, tackled by Zetagallen. Storaya on the outside is cruising up to them now, the 3-year-old from Western Australia. And Sender Sign is finishing very fast down the outside, and so is Rare Chance. But Storaya looks to have a winning break on them with about 100 metres left to go. McIntosh running on well, and Dapper's Express is down the outside. Storaya is the leader, and Storaya will hang on and score from Dapper's Express. Carl Garrentown, a huge run and a photo for second and third. And they were followed by McIntosh and Begone, Brackenley, Rare Chance, Sender Sign.
He's a very honest horse. What's for him, Keith? Races like the Oakley Plate, Newmarket?
The Oakley Plate for sure, and the Newmarket. He'll miss the Lightning Stakes. He's a horse to follow, I think, Storaya. He cost only $18,000. And take my tip, Bruce, also to follow, Greg Hall. He's got that old fire back in his...
belly.
Yeah, absolutely. He's determined to make every race a winner. So follow him and you'll show a profit.
Well, he rode brilliantly yesterday. Ark Regal just missing out, I thought, was an excellent ride. He rode a double. He's the Melbourne enforcer, and Mickey Dipman's the Sydney enforcer, and he's been in tremendous form of late, hasn't he?
Oh, has he ever?
He's been killing them. We'll have a look at one of his wins later on. Adelaide, Australasian Oaks. Lee Freeman saying this morning that Mannerism might be a Melbourne Cup horse after this.
Yes, an interesting story with Mannerism. The dam of Mannerism was owned by a Melbourne guy, and when he was riding her once up at Seymour, she threw him and he broke his neck. So naturally the dam was no longer his favourite horse, and he sold her. And she was in foal, and the foal became Mannerism, but he regretted selling the foal, went to the yearling sales and bought this Mannerism back.
Oh, good on him.
Yeah,
Well, she's
so
won.
it's a fairy tale story, isn't it?
It's sure. She's won 270,000. She's going to win a lot more. Shavano Miss was the favourite. Taken on early. She was going for, I think, her 6th win in a row, and Mannerism just outstayed her in the Australasian Oaks at Morphettville yesterday.
The favourite, Shavano Miss, led them to the home turn by 2 lengths and is travelling sweetly. Second placing, Shadows of Love to Soldi. They're throwing everything at these. In behind them, Mannerism into the clear is starting to run on. She's 5 lengths off the leader. Into the strong headwind again, down to the 250-metre mark. Shavano Miss's rider took a peep across. 3 in front of Mannerism, coming after now. In third placing, Shadows of Love, and then to Soldi. Shavano Miss is getting tired. Mannerism might have her. Mannerism raced up to Shavano Miss. The crowd are going berserk. Mannerism's got her. Mannerism sweeps to the lead, and she just hasn't quite run the trip, Shavano Miss. Mannerism a length and a quarter, Shavano Miss. Third's tight.
Well, is she good enough to go to Sydney and match it with Triscay and Whist and Weekend Delight in the AJC Oaks?
No.
Fair enough. In one word. Or, well, if she's going to win a Melbourne Cup, she's got a chance. Keith, OK, let's go to the... I've been staggered for a moment. With the $1.5 million Excel Adelaide Million, and this is where David Hayes got the Quinella Canonise winning the race.
Let's drop me a line, a narrow leader from Lovey getting up on the inside. Over on the outside of those, Burgundy Bouquet. Wider out around the outside of those, joining in quickly now is Amuse Me with a solid run. They were followed further back behind that division then by Segusino, looking for room as Angel's Wings, and here's Canonise starting to wind up down to the 200-metre mark now. Amuse Me reached the lead from Burgundy Bouquet, but Canonise has got them. Canonise has fired away in the last 100, and it's Canonise. Canonise is going on to win this Son of Don't Say Halo. He takes out the second running of the Excel Adelaide Million and defeats the stablemate Stylish Regent in second placing. Third was another Don't Say Halo, I think. It's got...
Well, not only did David Hayes get the Quinella, so did Robert Sangster, the owner, and that horse is going to come to Melbourne for the Sires Produce Stakes, Canonise.
Yes, David Hayes feels that Canonise doesn't really have the brilliance for the Blue Diamond. Incidentally, Bruce, Robert Sangster paid $40,000 for the winner, $45,000 for the runner-up. He got the Quinella, as you mentioned. First prize was just a few coins short of $500,000.
Well, he's done pretty well. A good investment there for Robert Sangster. Well, yesterday, With Me took her stake winnings to more than $1 million when she won a race that Robert Sangster, in fact, sponsors. It's called the Swetnam Stud Stakes. This was the third feature event at Adelaide yesterday.
Guns for hire from With Me, the outside, 3 deep, good looker, looking good. In behind those 4 nets, angling for the run-up on the rail, and got it, the Western Australian Piaf Girl, slightly grey, Dunyasha join in. Mrs. Selleck out wide, but With Me raced up to Guns for hire. Dunyasha comes after With Me. They were followed with 200 to go, further back by 4 net, but he gives a full rein now, and With Me shot away. 2.5 to 3 in front of Dunyasha. Beachside from last is flying home. With Me's getting tired into the wind, but she'll be too good for Beachside. Wins at a length. Third placing went to Dunyasha. Then Mrs. Selleck, Piaf Girl, Steel Sculptress, Mahasin.
Well, Beachside was an enormous run. We saw her in Melbourne winning the CUNY Stakes, or the Wakeful Stakes during the spring. What about With Me? You and I were really keen on her in the William Reid Stakes. She missed out there. She started to paddle a bit in the last 50 metres yesterday.
Yes, I'm starting to wonder, Bruce, whether 1,200 is as far as she wants to go. I think she would be a betting risk beyond that, but she's pretty classy, isn't she?
Yeah, she's got real acceleration. I think she's a 1,000 metres, 1,100 metre horse. Joanne's another horse who's got tremendous acceleration. I think she gets 1,200 very, very well, and she's going to be one of the favourites for the Newmarket. Here's Joanne's return to racing yesterday in Sydney.
About 475 out, and Joanna's going to swing for home in front with a nice advantage. Spot the Rock coming off the rails is going out in pursuit, followed by Pagan Jest and Miss Comanche to the outside. Century Rainer's running on, but Joanne gave them the go by approaching the 200. Spot the Rock is second, followed by Miss Comanche, and then came Mocha down the outside, but Joanne is about 3 in front of Spot the Rock. Century Rain got to third, but Joanne, it's her 11th start today and 9 wins coming up on the record. He's down by Dittman. Joanne wins easily from Spot the Rock. Third home was Century Rain, and then came from the tail of the field, Ricochet Rosie.
Yes, she was a good run, Ricochet Rosie. Mick Dittman knows her well, but Joanne coming down for the Newmarket Handicap, how do you line her up with horses like Redelva and Shaftesbury Avenue?
Well, she's beaten Redelva down the straight at Flemington. I think the 1,200 metres is ideal. I hope she comes, because I think that race would suit a Bruce more than the Doncaster, because she's going to get a lot of weight after 9 wins from 11 starts, and she's only tiny, you could see there. She's not only little.
I doubt her at a mile too, don't you? I think
yes,
she's a 1,200, maybe a 1,400 metre horse.
And she too is very good, and she's most consistent. And like Greg Hall, when you've got Mick Dittman on a seemingly good thing, they leave you without any doubt. It really is a worry-free ride, isn't it?
It just puts himself in the right position all the time, doesn't he?
Well, he's riding so well, as you mentioned. He went to Wyong last week for the first time ever. Won the Guineas there and won 2 other races at treble at his first visit to the track.
Yeah, it's good form, isn't it? Well, Dr. Grace wasn't in such good form yesterday. 11 to 2 on. You don't see that at the races very often. He was sitting outside Mr. Exclusive on the turn in the Oceania Wait for Age Stakes, but he couldn't go on with it.
Inside the 400 and in the stretch now. Dr. Grace went to Mr. Exclusive. Dye gave it a crack with the whip. Dr. Grace on the outside is under punishment from Dye. Mr. Exclusive, the inside, is hanging on and fighting back at the 150. Mr. Exclusive got away from Dr. Grace at the 100. There's a boil over coming up. Mr. Exclusive's a length and a half, 2 in front of the Doctor inside the last 50 metres, and Mr. Exclusive takes out the Oceania. Dr. Grace second, Phil the Bill third, and a space away to Otheldo.
A very ordinary race. Dr. Jeff Chapman, who trains the horse, thought that there were excuses, a muddling run race, but Shane Dye said no excuses at all. It looked a poor effort, didn't it?
It did too. Australian racing history really is littered with casualties from small fields at Wait for Age standard, isn't it?
I guess Ajax at 40 to 1 on the famous one with, was it Spear Chief?
Yes, it was.
You're only a boy then, weren't you?
Well, I think late 30s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, Keith.
Thanks a lot, Brett.
The Australian Cup and the Newmarket Handicap are 2 of the big races coming up. We've got a market for the Newmarket. This was during the week, and 5 of these horses won yesterday, so there will be some changes. But Shaftesbury Avenue, who comes back to racing next week, and the Lightning's a favourite. I guess, Keith, Joanne, Planet Ruler, and maybe Storaya would shorten up after yesterday.
Yes,
I'm not sure what Kenny Ladd's going to do.
Certainly Joanne, and if Rick Corlacey decides to run, well, I don't... Yes, well, he could run Kenny Ladd, I suppose.
Planet Ruler,
definitely. He would be into probably the second line, I'd say, yeah. Bruce.
He'd be challenging. And the Australian Cup, we've got Better Loosen Up at 6 to 4. Superimpose may not run, and that race between Kingston Rule and Better Loosen up next week and the Blamey Envo Rogue could decide the betting on the Australian Cup.
Yes, the Phantom again ran a very honest race, finishing 4th in the All Stakes yesterday.
He is a good horse, isn't he?
Sure.
Well, tremendous meeting next week with the Blamey, the Lightning, and also the Australian Guineas in Melbourne. Big races in Sydney. And Keith, good punting. We look forward to having you back.
Yeah, fine, Bruce. We hope we're in a winning mood when we get back here next Sunday after the big meeting at Flemington.
Good on you. Keith Hillier joining us with the Racing Super. Back with more after this.